शादी मतलब क्या?
Am I toxic? Put a red flag on the...
Yeah.
I have a problem with hugs. We often attract similar friendships, similar people around us because we want to be comfortable in that similarities.
So this question of how will I know if my ego has overpowered or taken?
You need things to be spicy. You need things to be a little...
Not all fights
Yeah.
are bad fights. With parents and children, fights are a rite of passage, my dear.
Today, we are getting into the new season of Unfiltered Conversations, and this time it's going to be very different. Like I spoke in my teaser, it's going to be something where I just want to be real and imperfect. And what better to start off this season than being with someone who has kind of made people, children, meet themselves, meet their inner child, meet who they are, help them kind of have that self-reflection of how things can be so easy in life, how we can solve the toughest challenges. I have with me Kanak, who is a psychotherapist, and she has been counseling children and young adults for more than 18 years. And it's an honor to have her today to open this season, because what better way than exploring our own emotions, especially me, because in all my past seasons, I've never opened up. I love asking questions, but this time it's going to be very different because I have someone. I feel free, I feel safe to open in this first episode. So it's really amazing, and I'm filled with gratitude today because it was my birthday, and then what better than having this session today with you and just trying to explore where I've come, where all my team members have come, how far I'm going in life. So it's amazing. So I don't know how to, this time, I don't know how to start this episode.
Let me just begin with thank you. And I'm going to place my hands on my heart because my heart is beating so fast right now. I loved what you said, and I loved how you addressed your team, and I loved the word gratitude in itself. It's humbling in its own right, isn't it? And it's something what we all aim to have in our life, and that's also a great marker of a mental health index. And in the sense of how to start, I'm just going to start with all of us in the room, just grounding ourselves, right? And just for your audiences to know, we've had such a gala time, 20 minutes sitting and chatting and debating and discussing, and perhaps at some point everybody gets to witness that and participate, because that is what mental health is.
Absolutely.
It's connecting, it's community, and it's witnessing each other in our journeys. So kudos to everybody. And thank you for having me. It's an absolute honor. I have been following your work for some time, and I see that you've grown by leaps and bounds. Your question was, where do we begin?
Yes.
And that's often like my favorite question in a session, when I begin to say, hey, what would you like to have happen in our session today? So I'm going to twist that and change that a little bit and say, hey Devyani, what would you like to have happen in our discussion today?
Yeah.
What would you like to bring up?
There are tons of emotions which I want to bring up today, because never have I had a chance. This is my first time I'm sitting across, because you asked me when you entered it, have you had a session before like this? Honestly, I haven't had. It's like self-taught. It's like going through Dr. Google, going through a lot of other things, but I've never had the opportunity to sit across, and I felt like I feel safe to now do that, because I have that, belief and feeling that I think it's time to really open up.
Oh, I
it's
love when
time.
you did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as you say this, I'm going to invite you in this silly little exploration and say, Devyani, how do you sense that safety? How do you know that what you're feeling inside of you is safety?
Feeling inside me is safety. Yes.
You know, you did that a
Yes.
little bit, and just to stay here.
Yeah.
And not judge, not be self-critical, and just to sense, how does your body and how does your mind know that you're feeling safety right now?
I'm in my safe space, which is my office. I spend hours here.
Yeah.
The second thing is, I've seen you for many, many years, and then I've seen the kind of person you are, and my team who's there, they are more than like friends. They are like a family to me, honestly, right now. And then most of my time I spend with them, so I feel very safe in this environment to open up.
Wow.
So that's what got me that confidence of, hey, let's just take this session, because I know that I can trust them. I've seen them in and out. I've been through the ups and downs with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're okay, may I point out something?
Yes.
You know, just to look at your face now.
Yeah.
And just to look at that body language now. Look how you've rested back. Look how easy this is feeling, no? Calm, and there's movement, and you're pointing to everybody. That tells me you're feeling safe, isn't it? And when you're feeling safe like that, how do you feel about me sitting across from you? I'm like a middle-aged, white-haired woman, and I'm sitting here, and we are talking.
Yeah.
What is it like?
So when we are talking, I have mixed of feelings, because I'm going to be going into an exploration which I haven't done yet.
Before. Yeah.
But I know that I can trust you, because you're going to take me into a very simple route of understanding myself even more than I have. Or maybe I will learn something about me that I need to work on. So I'm feeling very open to receiving things from you right now.
Look at that, to receiving things. And see how the hand and the body connects, isn't it? It's how our nervous system and our body also speaks, and it also communicates. And that is it's just great to see sometimes when we are stuck in life, that cognition and thinking is not the only thing to depend on. And there's a lot more to look around, and a lot more ways to come back into the present and to recognize what's really happening in another human being, and to make that effort, to make that connect. Yeah. So, Devyani, I remember that we were discussing some time back on how we wanted to go forward, and there was this little conversation that we had on aloneness and solitude and loneliness, and I wonder if that's something that you would like to bring up again, and if you're comfortable with it, and just to notice in your body, what tells you that you're ready and comfortable for this conversation?
I'm ready, because I think I've sensed that in so many of us going through a lot of things, and I have been, the way I said, I've been self-discovering my improvement of yes, I don't fear away from asking questions wherever I need growth, wherever I need to know that, hey, am I going wrong in terms of work? And that's helped me be where I am right now. Like, I don't self-boast too much. Maybe that's a problem for me also, because sometimes you need that a little cheer, but I'll be like, oh, hey, I'm looking a little fat today. Or I'll just check on the screen all the time that, hey, today my left profile is visible or right profile is visible.
Yes.
But then I'm trying to improve on that. Also, I feel that usually we feel very unsettled in life. We feel very, I don't know, I can't describe that
feeling. Just to take that minute, right? Just to take this minute right now and notice you went back the moment you said, I feel unsettled, and to just check in with your body. Are you unsettled right now?
I'm not.
You're not unsettled right now. So you're speaking from a memory of unsettled, isn't it? And so to look at that memory of unsettled, what is your experience of unsettled? How does your body recognize unsettled? I love this. you know. So clearly something was happening, and then you said,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, right?
So when you talk about unsettled, is the fear of that unknown.
Yeah.
Because you've been trained to predict things, or let's say if I am into a business or I'm working on something, and that is a major part of your life. Yes, you have your personal life, but you want to know things. And then when you have that fear of unknown, you feel very unsettled. It's according to me. I don't know what the team thinks about unsettling feeling.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel.
Yeah. So just to put it out there, right? Like Devyani, what you and me are doing is not really a therapy session.
Yes.
But this is just to settle in,
Yeah.
and let's just try and be open to mental health, and like this topic that you've said, to
Yes.
feeling unsettled.
Yes.
It's so relevant, isn't it?
Yes.
Because this is a world that's shifting, and there's so many changes happening every now and then. And truly, if ever there was a point, visible change being a visible constant is today, isn't it? When you talk about change and feeling unsettled, they both come in together. Unfortunately, that's how it gets packaged in our nervous system, right? But to always remember, even in you know, just those few minutes ago, you were here and you were trying to say something, and you were making a point, and we came to unsettle, you went right back.
Yes.
You claimed your space.
Yes.
You owned your emotion in that instant, and you were present, and you said, I may have an issue with unsettled, and the world has an issue with unsettled. I'm going to talk about it, but I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with
it, right? To recognize that about yourself. Because when we are walking around the world where there is so much unsettled, 2-3 things are happening, right? We are taking up on the other person's energy. He could be unsettled, I could be unsettled, and we can figure that out. We can notice that, we can sense it. It's almost like mirror neurons. We read that nervous system before the cortex reads it, okay, before we process what's even happening in there, and we react. So what you've done is actually a skill set where you've said, okay, stop, take a step back, just observe what's happening, okay, and peacefully move forward, S-T-O-P, right? You actually did that beautifully in a situation. Yes, just to let people know. Look, you did that so wonderfully.
Thank you. I take time to say thank you as also. Yeah.
Look at that. That's gratitude. No, that's just stepped in. It's the body recognized something nice about itself. But when change is happening, and if we are not supported in that change, Devyani, okay, when change is happening and there's no one really to lean upon, to help us co-regulate our nervous system, then there's a lot of loneliness also that sets in.
Yeah.
Right. Now to just move away for a second, solitude, alone, and loneliness are 3 different things. Right.
True.
Loneliness as a word didn't exist in literature until much later.
Oh, really?
Really, it didn't. You know, the word was solitude.
Yeah.
And it was celebrated. I think poets had it, and a lot of olden literature has the word solitude, which was really looked up to. People desired it. It was a time when people took a gap to just breathe, be, evaluate whatever is going on, reflect on whatever is happening, what it is that they want out of life. Who am I? It's like teenagers do it with swords and tongues, but people sometimes just went into nature to be who they are. Okay? Solitude is wonderful. I think most of us desire it every now and then to recharge our batteries. Alone in that sense is also wonderful. Okay, because we can step out, we can ground ourselves, we can feel connected to our whole body, our whole system as a person again, and then move out into the world and do whatever that needs to be done. And we come to loneliness. There are sometimes people who can't contain themselves and who can't stay in solitude, and aloneness is frightening to them, right? There's an inability to be with oneself for various reasons that they may be. And sometimes change may also be one of those reasons, because one is faced with skills that one may or may not have access to, or have had practice to do, or to face themselves in a way that's uncomfortable for them and provokes anxiety. Right? Now, coming to loneliness, loneliness often, while we look at the positive and the negative of being alone or being in solitude, loneliness is a little different, right?
Yeah.
There's a desire to be alone, and this is a desire to be in solitude. There's an agency of this is how I want it. Loneliness is the other way. Loneliness is a desire to want to be with everybody, to want to connect to somebody, to really have that one human that they can lean on.
I think loneliness is like not being okay with being alone with yourself at a place, or
I love how you made that connection.
You're not okay with yourself because you don't want to deal with your thoughts. You don't want to, you want to run away from what your intuition and what your subconscious is trying to say about your current life.
So loneliness would be missing that person who could connect with all of it.
Yes.
Loneliness would be wanting to be that person who didn't have to run away. That could be loneliness, right? Or loneliness could be like connecting with a desire to connect deeply, spiritually, meaningfully to animals, to nature, to a human being, or to oneself if one feels a loss of something in oneself, of the self. Right?
Yeah.
That could also be loneliness.
Is it? You spoke about energies.
Yeah.
So before you sense anything, you sense the energies around you.
Yeah.
Are you feeling safe in that?
Yeah.
And then in terms of what you spoke about, loneliness or alone, being alone or unsettled, all of these are coined into kind of like one emotion where it's even if you're around family or friends, you might just get very sensitive to certain bad energies or good energies. It might just drain you out when you're back home. So how do you kind of talk about those things? I feel sometimes whenever I'm in a good company, I will get that energy. But when I'm in a, like unsettling environment where there might be bad energies coming in, I'm trying to, and we absorb as human beings whatever we see. So you feel very drained of absorbing let's say he's going through something or somebody, or then you absorb that bad energy and you drain yourself out. So can you talk more about, this?
I'd love to. And I'd love to also check in with you if it's okay to see, hey, how often do you sense that negative energy, and how do you know that it's a negative energy or this is draining you? Like how do you get to know that in yourself?
Whenever, let's say if you're in a setting, in a surrounding where you're not talking anything, but then with your presence over there, it might not be welcomed in a way. You might just get some words, might get some things which are not welcoming, but in a nicer, that it's not welcoming. How the double-faced things can be. So, and then you can predict, you can be very sensitive to it. And when you start reading the gestures like you did for me, and then you know that what the person is showing on the face is not reflecting in their movements,
and
you start absorbing
pause, right? I'm going to pause you for just a minute there, just to notice something. I value what you're saying, and I really want to hear it. Did you notice when you actually went into that scene in your mind, you started the butterfly shake of the knee? Yes, you did, isn't it? It's so cool. God. It's how your body says, no, this is not okay. I'm not liking this. Look at those feet, right?
It's still moving.
Just to stay with it. It's not to point out anything. And if you feel I'm overdoing it, I want you to stop me, right?
It's quite amazing for me too.
Just to notice how much discomfort it is even in time. And
it's been the major chunk of my life dealing with this.
You have, haven't you? Yeah. But you've made it, Devyani.
I have.
Isn't it? And just to recognize, what is that legacy from your growing up that helped you make it, that helped you deal with it? Just to notice that.
Yeah. It's made me very grateful to the things, and I've also started trusting in the process. Sometimes what I feel is that why you feel unsettled is because there's something else written for you.
How beautiful.
And then you need to trust that process. And I've seen that, I've experienced that if you're not getting something at that particular time, or if you're feeling something, there is something written for you, and you need to be patient with that unsettling feeling of yours, because you are destined to be elsewhere, and you need to trust working hard, being consistent in what you're trying to do, and then just move on with.
And
moving on is a little difficult, but move on with the things. That's what I've learned.
But I love what you did. Did you just notice that? And it's so silly.
But it's amazing.
I'm going to invite you into this.
Yes.
And anyone else who feels like, right?
Yeah.
Just take a minute. Let's just take a pause. What was it like to take this pause after you noticed the visibility that your nervous system was providing to me and to the room? What was that like to come back into where you are now here?
I think it gives me a flow again, because sometimes you go and just kind of start getting into the memory lane of things. So I just got centered, and I'm here again.
You're back again, isn't
I'm back
it?
again.
Yeah.
In this moment.
Absolutely.
While I was just, thinking, and just when I took this pause, I also felt like most of these things happen when we have expectations from people, or expectations from ourselves.
I'll pause you for a second, right? I'll tell you why I'm pausing you, and I really want to hear you forward. I just wanted to notice that you used another skill in here. And you actually did, right? It's one of the skills that we can use to tolerate any kind of distress, because that is what happened in the shaking of the leg. One, that you let it happen.
Yeah.
Right? You weren't judging it immediately. There were images that you were coming to mind, and you had an idea of how you wanted to move away from there, and notice you go like that. I don't know if it got caught on the camera or not, but just to notice. You looked around at everybody.
Yeah.
You made a connection again. Right? There was a mental meaning making that happened of where you're traveling to.
Yeah.
Do you want to travel there, or you don't want to travel there, right? You spoke about surrender, and that is the action you kept making.
Yes.
If you notice that, right? There's something written for me, and I'm going to surrender into it, not think too much about it, right? So after which this break happened for us, and then we reoriented ourselves, and we are back here again, and you used that sense of, I want to do this, Kanak, right? That was a way of encouraging yourself to go in. So when we are in distress, we can actually use this as a skill set, Devyani, which is to see what are the image we're going back into, right? Is it a positive one or a negative one? Is there a positive image available to us that we could orient to? You have a dog sitting right here. You have your friend sitting right here. And to be able to connect to the images of even your friend was so nice for you, wasn't it? So that's the first thing you used. Then you made meaning out of it. I'm traveling too far and getting vulnerable. Surrender has to come, right? Yeah. So through the meaning, you went into a little bit of a prayer. You went into the universe. You gave it off. You didn't keep control. You didn't want to fight or flight anything, right? You also then relaxed. You went into that mode of saying, I'm going to reorient. Where is my paper? What is the next question to ask? That was a break that happened, like a vacation. And then you were encouraging to yourself, because you haven't stopped the process. Your eyes still have a lightness. Your demeanor is still so calm, right? You're in it, and now you're tailoring it. You're titrating it the way that you like to, right? So for any of us who are feeling the distress, these are some of the things we can actually use in real life. Not in the same sequence or in the same sequence, but you can have images come in, you can make meaning, you can take a pause, you can step back, you can say, oh, you know what, let me surrender to the God or to prayer or whatever that your belief system is. Take a little break, take that vacation, and be encouraging. Do I want to continue or not? If you choose to continue, then you continue. So even in that distressful situation, you're creating an ability to be there and choose to be there or not choose to be there.
It's your choice whether you want
agency.
to.
And when we are feeling the stress, oh God, do they want me, not want me? Am I going to be judged here? Am I going to be evaluated
That's
here?
the expectations we kind
create
of
for ourselves.
pile us, with,
Yes.
like it's the expectations which we put on ourselves, or the expectations we want to fulfill of our parents, or like the society, or there are tons of expectations which
Even
are
expectations we have of ourselves from ourselves, isn't it? So that expectation of the society is an expectation that I have to fulfill the expectation that the society has laid down.
Yeah.
I have the responsibility to fulfill my parents' expectation. Do you?
Yeah.
Do you really?
It's other way around. I mean, like
It's other way around. I love that. I love the naughtiness in there.
I have some expectations from them now. Like I'm their parent.
Absolutely. But are you?
I'm pretending to be.
Yes, and how
I'm
is
their
it?
parent. They are acting childish now, so I am their parent.
My point exactly. How is that working for you, Devyani?
It's working well for me because they're loving that side of me. Because
how is it working for you?
It's working for me good because in the previous years, if I reflect on things, it was more about making them proud. It was about their expectations from me. But now, when I'm at this stage where they are very happy with that, now I have the time and liberty to look into their life, or I can pile on expectations on them that, okay, you need to go on that trip. You need to kind of do this.
So you can be assertive like that, isn't it?
I can be assertive. I can be very tough for them.
Yes.
So
you can be assertive and tough on them.
Yeah, for them.
That's
because if I want my mother to go to a restaurant and have that food, because I want to kind of, when it comes to expectations, it's not just the kids, and parents have also been conditioned in such a way, a certain way, that they are conditioned that they have to do a lot of sacrifices to be a parent.
Yeah.
But in order to be a parent and in order to be a good child, or just to be a child, you need to sort of be there for each other. And
Thank you for saying that, and thank you for bringing out that point so wonderfully.
And then I'm like, it's okay. You can just go chill, go to the restaurant. It's okay if I don't come. You just be happy in what you're trying to do. Go for those trips. Go to Rajasthan if it makes you happy. And now they just book a ticket and they're off. Like, I don't even know where they're just going. So that's what the expectation is in between the way. So first they were my parents. Now I am their parent. If I can put it in some perspective. But it's a beautiful spot right now for me to be that way with them. And they are opening up.
Yes.
They are being vulnerable to me because they've kind of, they had created a wall where they have to be tough. They can't, they can't show their miseries. They can't show their sadness because they want their child to be happy. But it's not like that. If you see relationships, it's both ways. We are there for each other, and we are grown up now. Like it's okay to just open up.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's another point that you've made that I'd love to catch on to, if that's okay with you. One point is, and I absolutely love this, which is to say, your parents come from a belief system where they need to do things for their kid. They want to make sure there's safety. They want to ensure, they're present, available for the needs to be met, whatnot, right? And now you're a grown-up.
Yeah.
And you can own that, and you can claim that for yourself, and you can tell your parents, it's okay, you go have fun.
Exactly.
I'm going to be just fine, right? Are you really parenting them? Or are you just claiming your adulthood in front of your parents and saying, hey, no, I'm all good.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and I'm so happy that I am. Why don't you go have fun?
Yeah.
That's not parenting, is it?
I don't know. I like that word.
You like that word?
It feels like controlling them.
You want to do that, don't you? I love that. I love
it. And they love it.
Yes.
They love it.
So what is it about you that they love that control?
Because they love that they can be dependent on somebody now. They feel free that.
Yes.
It's a beautiful feeling to be dependent on. I mean, not in that way, but in a way where, you can depend via the feelings.
That's so wonderful.
Not in the other way. That I want to be dependent
So
on them
wonderful.
sometimes.
So are you saying that you're creating a sense of security for them?
That way.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You're creating a sense of security. But you know what's so fascinating here,
Yeah.
Devyani, is while this is not a therapy session, and you know, I would love the audience to use their discretion and just look at this as a conversation two friends are having, to see, hey, is there a connection between security and parents for you?
Absolutely.
And what is that connection like?
It's like connecting the dots. Like we've seen them in a very different perspective in very different phases of life, and now you exactly are so grateful for the things and the sacrifices. Now you realize they've done that, and we were a stubborn kid back then that, oh, they are being so bad with us, or they are being so tough with us, why are they so strict? But then now you realize why they were so strict.
And why were they so strict?
Because they had that experience, and they had that the way of looking at life, and that really gave us a direction when we didn't know that this is right or wrong, and they kind of conditioned our belief system to become more strong. That's what I have an experience with my parents, because they've given me that independence to choose the path, but they've always been the guiding light.
Wonderful. And just to notice that, you know, even when you say that, you notice how your eyes lit up. I said lights went up. No, your eyes lit up.
Yeah.
And to saying, you know, they've given us the independence, and they are just a guiding light. And where do you sense that guiding light inside of you? Where is that independence inside of you right now? To take a minute to sense into your body and just to see, how do you recognize that independence and that guiding light inside of you?
I think the intuition, I am very strong believer of the gut feeling.
Yeah.
So they letting me take a step back or take a step forward with my gut feeling, and being there even if I make a mistake is what I think.
Yeah.
Is what I think is. I don't know, I can't articulate it, but
you don't
that's
have
what I
to.
think.
I will pause you for a second to let you know that you used another skill there.
Yeah.
You want to know?
I'm excited. I'm now very much excited.
Yeah. I think when we had the conversation about your parents, about how you're treating your colleagues, while you're saying that you're parenting them, and maybe you are, maybe you're not, I don't know what the exact thing is, but here's what I do pick up, is you have the capacity to be mindful with people when you're with them, right? You're able to focus when it is time, you're able to let go of any unnecessary skirty things around that moment. You're able to accept whatever is going on in reality. You're able to come back into the goal. Okay, you're using your mind to stay focused on what is the agenda or the intention behind doing something like this, and then you're again able to sort of come through and empathize and say, okay, let's move forward. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is something that's absolutely fantastic, because the moment you have used your flame, your mindfulness, not only you but others have become mindful without feeling the burden or the burnout of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you say to your parents, no, I'm going to be okay, and why don't you go ahead and complete your agenda, and you're mindful like that, they're going to take from they're going to borrow or lean into your nervous system in that time.
And then in a fun way, without hurting their parents' side. Like it's, you know, like when you add a little humor and a little nice, good fights with them, you know, the humorous fights, then it's like the whole bond just changes. They love that, like they love that affection.
And it's like, if this is the boundary the other person has, you're pushing no, you're fighting. I'm fighting the good fight for you.
Yes.
You know, I want you to have a break, and you know what, I want because I see that there's a difficulty here. So it's a good fight. Not all fights are bad fights. With parents and children, fights are a rite of passage, my dear.
Oh, that's
Okay?
good. That's good.
It's a process of individuating. It's a process of becoming your full human, the whole system. Okay, the personhood.
And that makes you extremely tight-knit as a family, like very
it makes
close.
You connected. I don't know tight-knit or not, because things vary, right? You may not be tight-knit, you may be separate, there may be divorced families, blended families, but there's still a connection.
Correct, yeah. The
Even
connection is still on.
Yeah, even in the gruntled state, they will come when the time is needed. And that's important. Just to give you a little metaphor on this connecting, and then we'll move on to the next segment, is, you know how trees have roots, and you know how the tree roots extend inside the soil, and then there's another tree and there's another tree. Did you know there's an algae that covers it, that creates communication between all these trees?
No.
So you should read it up. It's fascinating to see the trees, the roots that are growing underground. Even if there's no water for one plant, the other plant is able to support and, create a network. Our nervous system does just that. When all of us are in a room, when you're in room with your parents, and when you're in room with your colleagues, and you're mindful about the presence, your presence and their presence, right? Those connections, our nervous system also picks up on these connections like roots.
Wow.
And that is when we actually create a functional environment in there. And earlier when you had said that sometimes you're in a room with sometime, and I remembered your leg shaking, and I didn't want to just allow it to go unanswered like that, to say, hey, even in a room of people where one person is not feeling okay, to you the vibe is not coming, you have the choice to look at someone or into someone's eyes who's comforting to you. And you will notice that changes or shifts something in your body. You're more available to the other people in the environment right then and there.
I think I never picked on that. It's a very beautiful thing to do when you're feeling very distanced from people.
Yes.
There's also, I would like to connect this with something else which was just coming in my mind.
Absolutely.
That when you are in a room full of strangers, and then you don't want to, there are these different groups of people. They're not friends and family all the time.
Yes.
There might be, communities, there might be colleagues, there might be a lot of other relations you might have with 100%. A lot of people you meet. And not everybody. You might just have thousands of people you are connected with on social media. So we were just having a debate yesterday in the office while we were just trying to kind of figure out what we want to really ask. We're just delving a little deeper into what really gets in. So I just picked up on a point, and there was a good big debate on that. I said it's good to have a little good ego.
Let go of the word fight and say debate.
Debate. Good debate.
That's wonderful. Yes.
So good debate about, I said in particular that it's okay to have a little good ego. Yeah. It's okay to have a little good ego. And then there was a mixed reaction. Okay, how can you say ego as a good thing or something like that? And then somebody supported that thought and everything. But I feel that ego balances according to me, that it's something which balances. You need to have a little ego, so you can have that safe distance between the person you are inside, and then just so that
I love how you nurture the person inside. And then, it's wonderful to see you do that. And that brings us to, it is indeed a great debate, right? I think growing up we've also said don't have an ego, and don't be an egoistical person or egotistical person. And so my understanding is that a lot of the way that we reference it now, don't have an ego, you're such an egoistic person, etc. We're saying more about the character of the person, or we're trying to say what you're doing is unfair, or there's injustice of some nature that is happening, or whatever they're doing is not being appreciated for whatever reason that it may be happening, right?
Yeah.
So the way I'm thinking of it, we're connecting it more to pride, more to gurur, to ghamand, these words, right? And I mean, we can make space for all kind of people, and that's fine. Psychology has a very interesting note on this, right? Like as a psychotherapist, as a counselor, and when I learned, so I call him Uncle Freud. I love some of the theories, and they're very colloquially available on everybody's tongue. Okay, Freud said that all of us have three instincts. One is the id, one is the superego, and one is the ego. Id is that childlike part of us that wants instant gratification of needs. Right? Whatever it be, pleasure, ye chahiye, wo chahiye, turant, abhi. I'm not waiting for anything, and I'll unleash my power on you to get what I need to get from you, right? And then there's the superego. That's like the moral watchdog in the person, where societal rules, norms, strictness, organization, should do this, should not do this, can do this, cannot do this. There's a tyranny of moralizing. There's a tyranny of what can be done and not following. In the id, there's a tyranny of I want it now, here,
correct,
nothing else. Now, he created a construct called the ego, right? It's the conscious part of the, more or less conscious part of the self, or his structure of personality. And he said the ego is the executive chap, is the executive officer. Now, ego's job is to balance the id and to balance the superego. Imagine if the id doesn't exist and the superego, this side, is dominant. You're going to be such a rigid person. You will not, all T's will be dotted. So all I's will be dotted, all T's will be crossed. Aise hi karna hai, otherwise, right? Shut down. And this person will say, how does it matter? I could do what I like to do. I'll drink, drive, all of that, right? There'll be complex mental health issues here in the character of the person, or the personhood of the person. But when the ego is functional, when the ego is healthy, when the ego has enough power to say, I'm watching, I'm the executive officer, I'm going to handle both of you, a little bit from here, a little bit from there. That ego is the main character in that personality structure who's doing the work for us, right? To that extent, ego is important. The ability to say no, the ability to draw a boundary.
So important,
It is so important. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the strength of that ego. The ability to tolerate distress as well, so often, is coming from the way that the ego is functioning. Now, here's the tricky part. Where does this ego get a bad name from? Why does this ego get a bad name? Because ego, being the crucial executive officer that it is, also needs to protect itself. Clearly, the two of them are really busy keeping the ego dancing on its toes, right? The ego creates defense mechanisms, right? These are the ways that we protect ourselves. It could be by regressing and becoming childlike and being really silly and, not acting up, not being your age, not adulting the way you might be expected to. It could be by repressing everything. Sab daba ke rakh diya.
Maybe ghosting people.
Maybe ghosting people, who knows? That's the more fancier term of saying I'm rationalizing and I'm going to project myself from somebody, right? Now, these things, when people start doing this in interpersonal relationships become so much more complex. That's where the simplicity of it is lost. So where ego is a really good thing, we need it to create a balance in our life as well, to have a sense of I'm accountable, responsible, as a human being I can contribute. It also becomes the source of a lot of things going right, left and center, a haywire or a wiggly wobbly in its own right, right? You want to know something more fun about it?
Yes.
How do we recognize that ego is overpowering my sense of self, and now I have to draw the line and I have to stop that emotion?
What a beautiful question, and that's where I was getting. Wasn't really getting to there, but I will get to this now that you pointed it out. So that other fun part that I had sought permission to talk about was, did you know that that all of these defenses are unconscious defenses? We don't really know we're applying them when we're applying them, right? So this question of how will I know if my ego has overpowered or taken, then the law of the jungle will come in. Somebody would say to you, yaar, why are you projecting this? तुम्हें डर लगता है ना? मैं थोड़ी ना डर रहा हूँ ऐसे. मैंने थोड़ी ना बोला मत जाओ. जाओ कूदो. जाओ कूदना है. Who said don't do it? You know what I mean? So sometimes these connections that we form with people also keep our ego in check. They also keep telling us what is going on and not going on. When you get into therapy, when you get into counseling, a lot of that unconscious material is brought to the surface. And we start to face that which we were avoiding, that we were not wanting to deal with, right? Even in relationships, for that matter. We connect with people who are similar to us. And then we think, oh, this is a relationship. We are bonding so well. And what do? We tend to, very often, put the dissimilar sides aside and not look at them, and we call them the shadow self and whatnot. They could be good, they could be bad, but that's not the commonality in it, right? So the point I'm making, which I'm so lost in the thought because I had a fresh thought come in, but I will come in back again here. So to answer your question, how do we know when that ego is too much? One, that we are social creatures. We are always in relationship with one another. If we take the time to be mindful, we take the time to take criticism well, we take the time to take feedback, and when we're able to see if we are contributing to this or not contributing to this, if you can go in our body and say, hey, is this feeling good or is this not feeling right? What is the intention behind me doing something? Am I being guided by someone? Am I making my own choices? These are many ways where you can see if the ego is really overpowering turning to pride, overpowering turning to something toxic, overpowering turning to taking away agency from somebody else, hurting somebody else, hurting myself for that matter. That is also a possibility. Why someone else? Am I being self-destructive? Am I self-harming? What am I really doing? Right? Now the fun part is it the ego's distress when I'm hurting myself? Or has the ego weakened and have the other two monkeys lightened up? We don't know, right? This is where it really helps to talk to people, to communicate with people. It really helps to get into therapy sometimes, to meet a counselor, to meet a professional who's sort of used to, understanding, who will take the time to realign or just give you the time to be the best version of yourself and, resolve whatever that, or explore enough for you to resolve whatever the confusion is. But that question is quite nice. Spot on.
Here you spoke about, because we are going to explore relationships, which is the toughest part for me in terms of even interviewing.
Isn't it for all of us?
It is for all of us. But I would like to start with the flow of where you said we often attract similar friendships, similar people around us because we want to be comfortable in that similarities. But I feel over the years, what I've learned, you need to move past attracting similar people. You'll grow and you'll learn more about yourself if you are around the opposites, if you're around people with different qualities, people with different mindsets, because that challenges your being. They challenge you to kind of get out of your comfort zone, and it's 100%. A beautiful thing to get out of your comfort zone, I feel. So when we are into any kind of relationship, friendships or acquaintances or family or whatever, I feel that you need to be very open to attracting not just similar people but opposites also.
100%. I will not disagree with you. And I also love how you catch little things that I say. I think that's brilliant presence on your part. Yes. So I did say what I said, like the thinking mind. I can't always pick up the exact words I said. But let me rephrase it like this, right? Is to say that when we are forming a new romantic relationships, especially, we are looking at commonalities, right? Now, the commonalities could be similarities, or the commonality could be differences. So self-correct. Now, yes, sometimes when we form these relationships based on similarities, once the honeymoon phase is over or time has passed, these same similarities become differences, and we can't handle it. I love that you write, you loved reading Harry Potter books. I've read the same Harry Potter books, but I've picked up point A, you've picked up point. I don't like that. I love that we read, we liked reading Harry Potter books, right? What is happening here? The same thing that I really loved, right? The other person can seemingly like rat it out to me and tell me word by word what happened, and how it went. And maybe I'm not enjoying that. Maybe I did enjoy the commonality. So, in a relationship, right, you are right to be able to challenge each other, to be able to look at the differences rather than putting them aside. It was the same thing that you like, that you now don't like, right? So we opened up another layer in that relationship, or the relationship has traveled beyond pleasantries and nice things and nice behaviors and so on and so forth. We're getting a layer deeper.
My family wants me to get married. I also want to get married. But the constant question is कि यार मन से नहीं आ रहा, दिल से नहीं हो रहा.
Kind of an inner conflict or things. Yes. There's one more thing which, like the way she expressed about dil se, and then this conflict, inner conflict that she said in the beginning she wants to, but she's not ready. But she really doesn't.
She's not ready now.
Yeah, she's not ready now. So adding,
I don't know if she said she's not ready or if she said dil se awaaz nahi aa rahi. To recognize that there's a dream in that dil.
Yeah.
And that dream has to be understood by her, and if she can't access it, to help her get access to it.
It's a lot of inner work.
That's
a lot of inner work. Yeah, so the next question.
Look at the adding to her. She's trying to reflect.
She's trying to reflect with it, but that's okay. So, thank you for being there.
So the next, not a question, but adding to her, and then the lineup of things. So usually, what happens is, even if you are dil se ready or whatever, the environment or the people around you have become so toxic that whenever you feel that okay, you are ready, also, I think. Adding on to her, I feel that you don't see that kind of commitment, or you just see uncertainty in the kind of people around you. So
because they'll say, if I could pause you, and I'm sorry that I did that, I cut you off, but there's a reason, not justifying, but that they'll say, right, is an instinct, like she said. It's a they'll say, right? But is marriage an instinct? Do you want to play marriage like a gamble? Do you want to just be impulsive about a decision of marriage? I wonder, right? So even when you open your mind to say, "Shad dil se आवाज आ गई है, मैं अब शादी करना पसंद करूँगी," okay? But what does it entail? शादी मतलब क्या? What is the framework that I have in front of my eyes of शादी में क्या होता है? दुल्हन बनती है, मेकअप होता है, धूम धमाका होता है, got it, right? उसके बाद क्या होने वाला है? Well, how am I going to am I used to taking care of myself? Am I able to contain myself? Am I accustomed to doing it? Do I know how to share my life? Brothers and sisters, you whack them, you do whatever, have fun, right? Is my partner okay with that kind of fun? What is his idea of sharing a life? What is our idea of what this relationship is going to look like? What are the value systems that both of us are bringing into this relationship? Do we need kids? Do we want kids? Do we not want kids? What are the value systems we would like to give to our children? It sounds so futuristic, you know? But it's nice to have a conversation. It's essential to have a conversation in it, because there's so many things. We fell in love for commonalities, no? But there's so many things in between to understand it. But I don't like cooking. Does marriage entail being a good cook? Might not work for me with you in that case. Yeah. But is there someone else who can allow for whatever comes and to accept you as you are and be accepted as we are, right? There is so much understanding that goes. What are your views on finances? What is your view on sexuality? What is your view on sensuality in the relationship, right? What is your view of fashion in the relationship? I mean, it's crazy, right? But unless like an open conversation, a more conscious conversation is broached, could you be ready for marriage? Will they'll say ever say yes to you?
So important, yeah.
It is important. It's important to be able to talk about it.
That's really, I mean, it gets you into the depth of your intuition and why these certain emotions are coming.
Yeah.
And along with that, you know, it's such a beautiful thing to accept that and just try to be very, you know, the bird's eye view for different perspectives of being open.
Yes.
There's another side of the flip side of every coin has a flip side.
100%.
I've seen that in India, like I would like to get into a little data oriented thing, or what I've seen in various cities, urban, rural. Even if, you know, like a girl is ready, a boy is ready, there are no options. There are no people. So getting into a relationship is one part, getting into a marriage is one part, but I've seen a lot of women, a lot of girls who are being rejected left, right and center, or men getting rejected left, right and center just because the guys are not ready for commitment. So there's an imbalance. The marriage or relationship is the next level, but people are not even reaching there. People are very lonely at this age where, you know, you don't have few or many options in front of you to even think about the questions which are arising. And I've seen a lot of girls going into depression because of feeling that am I not good enough for anyone? Or, you know, there is social media into play. There are beautiful personalities over there. There are real women out here. So it's a very complicated situation in terms of marriage relationships. You can add on to it, but I feel that's also the biggest gap in relationships which I see right now. And I've seen a lot of like close circle friends or whatever going through that thing, and it's very sad. And then it also,
but it's a reality, no?
yeah,
in
some of my I don't know, like elderly people have been telling me, or I don't know, I'm trying to kind of put it into perspective.
Also reveal what you want to reveal, be conscious of it and be aware of it. And
so they're saying to girls, let's say especially semi-urban, because I keep going around these communities, they say you're not modern enough, or you're not, what do you say, how do you put it into nice words? You're not that glam enough, the way we see on social media, to be right fit for maybe guy or girl. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's a nerd guy also out there. But they have beautiful hearts who have so much of love, but they are not good enough for the frame. And that's why they are suffering. So what do you talk about? Like, how do we put that in words if they're not even reaching the relationships? I've seen so many.
Are they troubled? So I'll put it like this. Are they troubled by not reaching the relationships?
I think the examples which I've seen, they've reached out to tons of, but they get rejected left, right and center.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, it's also been fun.
It's a little tough one too.
Yeah, are they,
I mean, like if you've seen
more than tough one, I would say good for them. Yeah, thank God that it didn't get selected. Thank God that they got rejected. I don't even know if it's rejected, because rejected means there's something personal about it. Them not being glam is not about them. It's about the one who wanted the glam, right? So, I mean,
well, everyone wants the glam, and then
so are we generalizing too much? And that one who wants the glam, the unglam one, can she really talk to this glam desiring chap or girl or woman or whatever to say, hey, you're looking for glam, what about glam are you looking for, and what is important about glam? Or if it's a community, have the community around him or her checked in to see we glam chahiye, matlab kya hi chahiye.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if these communications are happening, but if these are being supported by the family or by friends, then that is it, right? Then they will find themselves a glam girl, not the first time, the second time, maybe the 50th time, maybe the 75th time.
Absolutely,
and then
yeah.
their relationship will take the course that it needs to take. But if you know somebody who's being rejected constantly, or again, I'm wary about saying the word rejected, because is it really rejection, or has somebody told them that is rejection? Because this person is saying, I don't think we're a good fit. You know,
Okay.
we are perceiving that as rejection. There are other arguments to say, but hey, you know, marriage conversations are so intimate. So what happens in that is the person starts dreaming. They start building a dream. Oh, this person, and they look like this, and what might it be? You know, what might it be like to have a house with them, a child with them, or what might their love language be? So much thought happens, right? So what crashes is that ideation that we built upon knowing, oh, this guy's going to come to see me, and we see them, and then all the naughtiness in the head starts, right? That is the one that breaks. And is it okay for that to break? Can we recover from that? Definitely.
Yeah.
What is hard to, and really hard to recover from is when somebody points out, oh, he rejected you again. Must be something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Oh, you were rejected.
So that word is very,
That word is very laden with meaning.
absolutely.
And I don't know if it's fair to say that, right? One, it's a mismatch. It's like, how do you meet someone in one conversation? No, it's okay. So sometimes people take it as a gamble.
Yeah.
You got a jackpot, you're lucky. If not, well, you suffer through life. Do we have to? And that is where communication now with parents has to come in.
Yeah.
And to see, hey, look, I noticed this, I noticed that. But if there is a 1 degree or 10 degrees of separation between the young person and the parent, and they're unable to communicate here, does that not mean there's already a preset framework, and that is likely going to get carried forward into the other family, and communication there will also be difficult? Right? So this is where I think in the olden times it was nicer when people would come together and talk, man, whether they're saying what's sensible or not sensible, or at least there's communication. They would ensure to say, oh, this one's that one, that person knows this, they're the family, this is the gossip about that family. There was a lot of communication, something to get a sense of the person. But online, I don't know if we get it. So when the dil se says, abhi nahi, I understand that dil se, yaar, abhi kaise, kaun, how? What is the process?
I'd like to put another heavy situation over here. When you consider India, there is a biological clock and a societal clock which is added to both the genders, because I feel that...
Oh, they added to both genders?
Yes, I feel so now.
I have been only seeing...
In perspective of, I was having this conversation with... Divya Prabha from Lasurne village about this, and considering it's a village setup, and I had a very different mindset when I went there and asked her this question, and she told me in a very beautiful way about this. In a village, it's the kind of pressure which I'm talking about, the societal pressure. We often, yes, we do look at what women are facing. But then she, being a woman, an entrepreneur who's trying to kind of build a system over there, that was quite fascinating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She's kind of raised funding, and she's doing incredible. So that was so beautiful. She told me about men, that her perspective was very different about the whole situation.
Curious to hear this.
So she said that, yes, we do have pressure on us of getting married as a woman at a certain age. But have you noticed, so these are like her words which we've captured in the cameras. She said that, do you know that since the age of 21, 22, guys have been put up so much pressure to earn, because you are not going to get a girl if you don't have that income in place. And that's the pressure the guys deal with. The amount of mental health, the way I said, the guard up with the dads, the guard up with the men in the family. So she gave a very different perspective, that who's asked them, do they want to earn at 21? Can they also have the choice that, no, I want to start earning at 25, let me explore and learn.
Absolutely.
But in setups like village where there's no option, it's like you have to make sure that you get in certain amount of money for your aging parents, for your sister, for any other siblings.
Yeah.
Likewise, there's equal pressure on women.
Absolutely.
So I would love to know your take on
Yeah.
this problem.
To look at it and say, hey, when I'm taking care of my parents, when I have a family of my own, what is the value system that I really want to talk to you about? Then to have the clarity on how are the fundings going to work. Generally, there's an understanding of a primary family and a secondary family, at least in the urban areas.
Correct. Yeah.
Now there is a sense of saying primary family is a family that I have created, and secondary family is a family of my origins. It could be my sister, my parents, etc. Right? Who am I more responsible to, my primary family or my secondary family? Now, these are all sticky topics, right? There is no clear-cut answer. Every individual, every family setup will have a different understanding, and that is the rule they have set for the way that they want to live their life. No opposition to that. If there is distress in the way the rule setting has happened, the role distribution has happened, that can definitely be gotten to the table. There can definitely be assertiveness around this. Often you will see a lot of shame, a lot of guilt playing into this, which is creating a negative cycle in the very communication, blocking off that communication and keeping the person stuck in that position, just rotating, wahin pe gol 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 ghum rahe, right? So इसको भी sort out करने का, छोटे chunks में solve करने का तरीका है. And that involves communication, that involves assertiveness, that involves understanding, right? And it can happen, even in urban areas when these situations come up. There is an esteem that has to be built into the one who's taking in all the burden as well.
I have a problem with hugs.
You do?
I have a big problem.
Thank you for hugging me
with,
when I came in.
Yeah, I have, with my parents.
Oh, with your parents, sorry, okay.
Because I've never hugged them, or they've not hugged me. I'll go in state of shock if...
Really?
We are a very practical family also, so that sort of situation, or if I just say love you or something to them, they'll go into state of shock. Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was kind of born into a family which is driven by practical knowledge and general knowledge.
But tell me something, even when you look in their eyes, right?
Yeah.
Where is the hug in the eyes?
Exactly.
In that exchange? Where is that hug? See, I love what you did. You're already self-hugging in so many ways, right? Like coming close. Where is that hug? When you're in their presence, just to take your time to notice that.
That's where I learned in exactly what you said, that everyone has a different way of giving love. And you need to realize what is that way of giving love, and that's where most of the fights happen. Because let's say my way of giving love is gifting. Somebody's way of giving love is hugs. Somebody's giving the way you love someone is just saying, I'm here whenever you need, I'm open whenever you can call. Somebody might just say that the way of giving love for them is just being present in the moment, or just rushing wherever you are. So I feel you need to be very appreciative of the kind of forms and ways of people give love, because everyone is brought up in a different way, in different environment, and the way they give love is so different. And I feel that if we could sense that, there's no other beautiful feeling than just appreciating each other for the kind of love we bring in. So that's what I've noticed.
So well said. That's gold coming out of your mouth. It is. And just to take that minute to realize that you said it like this.
Thank you.
And to know that we can make space for all kinds of love languages, and somebody's gifting is their way of hugging you. And your way of hugging them is your gifting. Your gift is the hug. Just to make space for that. It's a varied love language, but it's still exchanged in that environment.
I often in parenting also have seen that when we are overprotective of situations for the child, they become underconfident. Or often it happens that you become very dependent on the protection, and then we are afraid to kind of step out in the world. So what would you like to say about these things?
It's again a very in-depth topic, and it has so many layers in it. But here's what I would put. If the parent wasn't that protective, they would feel chaotic, right? So to understand first why that helicopter parenting is happening, right? Why does the helicopter engine not shut down unless it's asleep in that way, right? To take our time to understand that, of course, it shapes up the child, the way they look at the world, but to also know that the beauty of the parent-child relationship is that the parents need the child and the child needs the parent.
That's so important.
However they're interacting in them. And whenever there's a dysfunction that sets in, whenever there's a huge amount of distress that sets in, that this family will open up to make space for new things to come, right? And suppose somebody is compulsively a helicopter parent, instead of shaming them and blaming them and making life difficult for them, to suggest the option and opportunity for change. If not, you can have it, I mean, the parents could save enough for therapy for the child for the next few years, you know.
That's so
but
important,
to know that's just being funny or trying an attempt at it, but to know that no matter what happens, if the person is desirous of learning something new, if an individual is desirous of transforming their life in a certain way, it is possible to do so.
Yeah, so important. It is.
You know, that choice, that option, and in today's world especially, it truly, truly is available. We may not be able to beat this person's genetic makeup or the, you know, the way the biology has turned up for them. But is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, is it okay that flowers bloom for 2 days and then they go away? Is it okay that the moon starts with a full moon, goes to a new moon, that it comes back to the full moon? And we celebrate each stage of that happening, isn't it? So is it okay to celebrate that this person may not be the exact version of themselves or how they saw it in their head, but they're good enough?
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
So to make space for all of these differences that we see.
It's so important. And I can't stop talking to you, but we are into the last segment of this conversation, which is, am I toxic?
And are you toxic?
And yes. So yes. Am I toxic? So in this, we would like to explore the self, you know, like just rounding off different emotions in terms of, you know, the way usually perceiving things, that the silent treatment we get, or the kind of situations we are into, and you are not nice in everyone's eye. You know, you might not be nice. So am I toxic? Would be my question, and everyone will be asking one questions from this segment. So this is my question.
Yeah.
Everyone, because
is
everyone
that the mothering coming out, or is that like the
motherly instinct is coming out for everyone. Everyone is going to.
Okay.
So this is my question. Like, not everyone is going to be nice with you, and it's okay. I mean, or not everything is going to be perfect for you. So am I toxic?
No. How are you toxic?
Yeah.
So it's like this, right? All fingers are not like equal. Is my hand bad, defective, dysfunctional?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Every finger has a purpose, right? And there's a reason why one is small, one is short, one bends more, one doesn't bend more. I mean, if I got arthritis, an old person, it'll be hooked and whatnot. So what?
Yeah. So important.
Right? Are you deliberately, or are you really hurting somebody? Are you homicidal, or, you know, I don't know, something really bad to a great extreme?
Yeah.
If that's not the case, then that's not really toxic, right? Toxicity,
wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. It is.
Good to take note of it.
Yeah.
Let's to take that minute for it to sit with you. Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a good So important, na? So
it's important to know, because that toxic is also a very it's a very cool label these days. I hear a lot of people say, how toxic you are, aapne meri baat nahi mani.
Put a red flag on the...
Yeah. Oh my God, naughtiness is all filtering out. Yeah.
People were like, what? Why are you wearing a red flag?
Yeah.
But yeah, just love this.
A little bit of unfairness is okay in the world of people, right? And how can it be that आप मेरी पूरी सुनोगे, मैं आपकी पूरी बात सुनूंगी और फिर हम काम करेंगे? Dude, ये तो कहीं नहीं हो सकता.
You need things to be spicy. Like, you need things to be a little... You can't eat bland food.
I mean, you can eat it if you have to eat it, might as well. But
when you're sick, मतलब like,
But it's like saying, यार आसमान में सितारे भी तो सेम नहीं होते रोज. हमें कहाँ दिखते हैं रोज के रोज? Did you know that starlight that comes to us after the star has passed away? It was so sad to hear that.
Yeah.
We still celebrate it, no?
Yes.
So, so long as you're not hurting somebody so badly, you're not violent, you're not breaking the legal criminal laws, you're not being abusive to a point where it's really damaging yourself and the other person, you need to call it toxic. And suppose it is toxic, okay? I'm not going to deny that doesn't exist. There are a lot of people who have a lot of fun for a lot of reasons, right? Is there a way that I, as an individual in that group, can also learn to step away from that drama?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
100%.
important, no?
Yes.
So that is a skill that can again be learned, and that needs to be discussed out loud whenever, like, you know, in times to come, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your parents. Toxic people love to create the drama, the rescuer, the victim, the protector, and, you know, kisne kya kiya, kisne hisab. In subtle ways as well, if not dramatically, if not on TV. But there's a way to step out of that drama triangle. And to use that way to step out.
I love
of
it. Like, the way you've simplified this, it's just out there. I mean, like, it's amazing. Any questions you would like to ask before I round off?
So basically, the first thought about anything for me is a negative thought. For example, I have tiny niece, so all my close circle, like the people who are very close to me.
You have tiny what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Tiny niece, I said.
Tiny niece? Yeah. Oh, the little one.
So the people who I am close to, I care a lot from them. Like, I can do anything for them.
Yeah.
And it's like if it's raining out there in my hometown, I'll call and I'll be like, are both of them safe inside or what? So I'm just giving you an example.
So there's a sense of catastrophizing, right? In the way that you perceive the world, you look at the worst thing that'll happen and then you believe it. And with that emotional reasoning, you step out and you ask to say, what happened? So it's like a tyranny of care. No, I'm not going to call it toxic or clinically or chronically toxic. It's a tyranny of care. मुझे आपकी चिंता हो रही, मुझे आपको फोन करना है. There's a compulsion to it. Is everything okay? But there must be a storyline behind it. There must be a reason why your mind perceives that framework to look at the world.
Yeah.
All right.
That's amazing. I mean, like, I'm so happy that everyone is feeling... I think it's the first time everyone is kind of opening up and seeing a side of each other.
Wow.
And also, despite there being cameras around, they're so comfortable with the whole. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to notice. It's after a very long time I've seen something like this.
Okay. Why don't we concretize this, right? And if all of you could just stay where you are, sit where you are, and maybe just for a second feel the ground on, like, feel your feet on the ground, okay? And just to be there, and in your head, right, just notice what it is that you're feeling, and as you do this, come up with one word that you would want to put into this group as an offering from your side. If there was one word you could think of, okay, just keep that in your mind. It's an offering for the whole group for being this new, for being this courageous, for being available, for being present and not judging the other. And just being there. And if all of you have that word, I would request any one of you to get a paper, okay, and make slips, write it down, and check it in a day or two.
Yes. So from exploring different human emotions to, I don't have any word to kind of put a sentence to, because what I felt today is very different than what I usually do in all of my interviews, podcasts, and this doesn't feel like a show. This doesn't feel like a show. It feels so real. It feels that it's my story, it's his story, it's her story, it's your story, which is coming together. And that's what we wanted to do at Unfiltered. And I think it was the best thing that you signed up, you said yes to come here and help us achieve that, help us set a tone to be aligned with all of our emotion, because that will help us bring in more guests, more beautiful people to this show, and remember each and every line which you said to us, each and every word, the wisdom which you gave to us, to explore the beauty of how we all are connected, how the roots are connected of all the trees, even if we are miles apart. And that's what you did for us, and we all are very grateful today. Feels a little emotional, but I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And in fact, thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
For being vulnerable today. And that in itself is the most amazing human quality we offer into interpersonal relationships. And at least you know me, but I'm a stranger to everyone else. And just to offer that to a stranger, to offer an expression to somebody like that, I am truly grateful. And my nervous system is truly, truly grateful for everything that you've created and this community that you've created today. Thank you.
Well, thank you from bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
What did you think about the whole experience? Please give us...
I loved it because this is what I generally do in life. It wasn't new to me. I just hope you have takeaway pieces from it. I hope that you truly do. And I also love the fact that everybody participated. And that's the success of it at the end of the day. It takes one person to open up, and then things open up. And also to notice how, even though all of us spoke, we were naturally respectful. We could take a pause and be ourselves and let the other person be themselves. And that's the gift of the community. That's the gift of being human and working together like that.
Thank you so much for making us believe in ourselves when we need a little hope that we are on the right.
You already believed in yourselves. I just lit a wire here and there. Just a little bit.
But thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless.
Yeah.
We're done.
We did it. This was the longest podcast we've ever done. Short.
I hope this is useful for all of you, and I truly do.
Beautiful.
Honestly, thank you. I think I loved it too.
I think we'll have to start an all-star segment with the beautiful guest. In all-star, it's like you keep coming in every season to touch upon a different topic in the same thing. So we felt like you are an all-star for us.
No problem. I'm happy to. This is really fun.
But thank you so much, because
Devyani, don't mention it over. I get it. And I know hugs are not your thing. So I
need to learn. I need to do a course on hugs.
Alright, have you done that?
Yes.
Thank you so much.